I'm an older person, so I just don't believe in all that.
We got three generations right here. Bonita, you consider yourself a boomer or Generation X?
Yo, we are live.
I'm a boomer.
Everybody, hang it up. Let me do the intro, please. Clearly, we've already begun. Everybody. Hi to anyone watching. This is another edition of the Read and Wonder Book Club Book Chat. I'm Keyoka, the awkward black nomad, and I am joined by my two lovely, I guess we're gonna call y'all co-hosts today. Yvonne is always my standing co-host. But ladies, please introduce yourselves. Exactly. Well, please introduce yourselves.
I am Yvonne McBride of Yvonne McBride Lit Life. I am a writer. I am an editor. I am a storyteller. I am all the things. I am excited to be here. Yay.
I am Bonita Penn. I'm a member of the Read and Wonder group. I'm just a guest host today. I am a poet. I am a creative writing facilitator, managing editor of the Soul Pit Quarterly, which is a local, regional, Black-run news magazine here in Pittsburgh. Plus, I'm retired.
And she is also the author of...
Oh, yeah.
You better promote your stuff.
I'm sorry. When the Trees Finally Testify, my latest poetry manuscript from Get Fresh Books. And also, I am the owner of Bees Bags, where I make women's totes, bags, clutches. And then I'm having 50% off sale to the end of the month. I got to get rid of everything on the site.
You better give me a drop to the people.
Yeah.
The name of the site
is Bees Bags. So it's beesbags.net. Everything is 50% off. It has to go by the end of the month. I got to start new stuff.
I will put a link to her website in the description of this video. Once I get it, you better drop your stuff. You better let the people know. I also remind y'all to like the video, drop down in the comment section, tell us hi. And obviously, if you've read the book, join in on the discussion. Let us know your thoughts. I see y'all in the comment section. Hey, Chanel, I didn't know how this was going to come up because I'm using a different program. Maybe we'll stick her up here. I don't know. Just a comment. Maybe we'll put it down here. Cover Yvonne a little bit. Hi, Sustainable Steph. Hey. Hi, Dee from Brown Girls Invest 2. We appreciate your support.
Very much so.
Very much so. Hi, Amina. She read this book a minute ago and she enjoyed it. Okay, well, let's get into it. We kind of started a little early, like before we went live. We kind of started chatting about it a little bit, but we'll get into that. So, who's been to Paris and what's your business? Let's get into your business. That's what I want to talk about. Bonita.
I have not been to Paris.
I've been to Paris, maybe 5 years ago. I was part of this poetry jazz group called Heroes or Gang Leaders. And we went over there and we were in the jazz festival they had in Paris and then another festival they had in Bordeaux. So when I went, it was strictly like a structured visit. And we did get to visit the Louvre for a couple of minutes, but other than that, it was just structured.
That sounds very interesting. That sounds like a great story.
Just the title alone of the conference.
I know. I want to know who was there. I want to know what was said.
That was the name of the band.
Okay. Okay.
What year? 35 years ago, that means some of our greats were still alive. Were they in attendance?
No.
That's when you needed to do a journal. You should have been writing a journal like Eden so we can get the names.
I know.
No. Well, it was just the band and, we have fun and, met people.
See, Dee says she's been to Paris. Sustainable Stuff says she was in Paris for 3 days 30 years ago.
Wow.
I've also been in Paris. I've only spent a week in there and I drove through France.
Oh.
It was nice. Lots of good food. I get it when people say like that the food in France is very good. I agree.
Mm. Mm.
Beautiful. You don't agree? You don't agree?
I think I had two good dishes when I was there. And they were made by like local people, not like the restaurants that we had now. And
Interesting.
I got tired of seeing that Nutella mess everywhere. It's like I don't even like that.
Mm.
What year did you go? What year was this?
It had to be 2018 or 19. Yeah.
I mean, it
Okay.
says she went in high school a long time ago and haven't been back. I've also heard that Paris is hit or miss for a lot of people. Like you either go and you have a horrible experience or you go and you have a romantic experience.
So this is why I appreciated the book, because when I wanted to go, it was during that time period, right? The
Mm.
quote unquote bohemian, black bohemian heyday. That's when I dreamt of going. I have no desire to go right now, but it is set in the time that we'll get into it later, but that's why I appreciated it about the
Mm.
book.
Esther's been, she went about 3 years ago, loved every second of my trip. Boating along the river Seine in the evening was the highlight of my tour. Hello from London. Hello. Okay, every time I see Esther's name,
Hello, Esther.
I always want to do a weird British accent. Stop doing that. It doesn't, I don't do it on purpose. It just happens. I apologize. Okay, wait. Let me tell you, you've never had a croissant until you've had a croissant in France. I'm just saying.
Mm.
That's beautiful. Okay, so everybody has had a little bit of contact with Paris. So I think that builds up to the question, what do we think about the setting of this book in comparison to our last read was The Sunsets in Singapore? I mean, I think one of the biggest critiques was that we didn't feel like we saw Singapore in that last book. Could we say the same or different?
So I will
Oh.
say the world building in this book is everything you ever wanted it to be, right? It
Mm.
is a This book is a study of how to ground someone in a setting, in another destination, in a country. She did this. I'll
Yeah.
say that first. Yeah.
Yeah, I do agree with that. Because as I read the book, I felt like I was really there. And I can remember some of how I felt when I was there, and I can feel it in the book. So I really enjoyed that part.
I agree. And I wanted to do, okay, so like over the holidays,
Grounding us in that scene, sights, smells, vivid descriptions, and then how it's distinctly different from the 16th district with its green grass that seems greener, the air seems fresher, and while she's walking the dog on Avenue Saint-Blanc, she's talking about we're the suburbs of Paris, where she's a au pair, right, for the children, the
Mhm.
spoiled children, but also how the streets are lined with dog shit. However, she still cannot afford to go to the cinema where they're showing what was it? How she's got to have it. She still can't afford to go to the cheap theater in the Paris of suburbs. So every scene that she puts us in is important, and she's giving us layers. She's giving us distinct differences of how you don't ever. I've never had to go to Paris, but I see each place that she's been. The details are great. So that's my take on her world building.
yes. It looks like we were frozen for a little bit. I hope we're okay, everybody. I think we're back. Yes.
Mhm.
It says, estoy aquí. Buenos días. Buenos días.
Hello. We have new names. We have new names in here.
Hello.
Oh.
Yes, definitely. I agree with everything you said, Yvonne. Like, um, place is definitely a character. I think that's really difficult to do in writing. So I commend, not that my opinion matters, but I commend her on that. And I did a little bit of research. She actually passed away last June. The author Shay
Oh,
Youngblood.
Yes, I was going to say that.
So, I mean, while we're still talking about setting, I guess this kind of fits. I feel like, so she was originally a playwright, and she also used different kind of mediums like short stories. So I think for me, the hangup was the translation into a novel was a little difficult. Okay. So, and maybe you can speak to this a little bit, Bonita, because you're a poet. But for me, I kind of got lost in the language was very beautiful at times, but when you press the language to see if you can actually see what's going on in scene, it was very difficult to like figure out, okay, what hand is going where? Okay, where are we? What are we doing? How does this person look?
So did you read it? Did you read it or did you listen to an audiobook?
I read it.
Okay.
I read it, and then some parts I reread it. I have to fix the.
Yeah, yeah.
But so for me, when I read it's almost like I have this cinematic experience. So it's very important for me through language to be able to visually see through the words what's happening. And I think there were some moments in this book where I was kind of like, I don't know what's going on, girl, but this is cute. It reads cute. It reads very beautifully. Can anybody
I'm gonna
yes.
go need
anybody have that
Go ahead.
experience?
Yeah, I can agree with that. Because I did read this book. I read this book. I read it, and and I like the way that it was like sort of separated into different sections. It was either by their names or by a list of things that she was going by. But sometimes when the end of that chapter was done, when it leaped into the next, it's like what happened between then and then. And so I was kind of lost. Like there's a big chunk of things that happened between the end of this chapter and beginning of this chapter that wasn't there, or I just didn't pick up on it. But I felt that way a couple of times going through the book, that there were things missing.
It was difficult to tell the pacing, the progression of time. So it was like how much time happened between one moment from the next,
I
like
think
Right.
between
I
vignettes.
think
Yeah.
he did it on purpose, though. I think it was on purpose, like it, because and we read it quickly, right? So the
Mhm.
thing that I appreciated about that, it didn't read like a novel. It read like she put it together like a chapbook, like a
Right.
memoir, like a guide. It's meant to be. It was Eden's, right,
Hmm.
guidebook of Paris, right?
Right.
When we think about a travel journal, that's what it was. She pieced it together like a travel journal,
Mhm.
a memoir, a chapbook. It reads like that because that's what it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be a novel to us. It's written like it's a real travel journal,
Mm.
right? So
Okay.
that's how I read it, and I appreciated it for for her to depicting it like that. Yeah.
The
So
same
that's my
way
take. Like
that,
when Bonita says the fractions. Okay, I'm gonna let this comment speak. Go ahead.
no, this is a different subject. So continue with your point.
So when Bonita says like it didn't pick up, the next chapter didn't pick up where the other one left off. If you read like it was a smorgasbord. Like no, it's not reading like in time like a novel. It's not reading like that. But like when you go to like say the lovers, when she talks about the lovers chapter, it you can see that this chapter was incongruent with the upper her time with the kids, and it was congruent with when she was the poet, when she was working for the poet. So it wasn't, what is it, a linear plot, but the chapters were broken up so that they overlapped once you get to that chapter,
Mhm.
basically.
So
Okay.
it was free flowing and not intentionally connected. That's fair.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Okay, now that you say that, it makes sense. But
Yeah, it
Yeah,
makes
because I was thrown off too. But then when she got to the lovers, when she got to that chapter, I was like, oh, this is during the time when she was working for the. It wasn't like, oh, this is my time with the poet, and this is my time with Ving. It was all happening congruently. It was just separated for the novel. I mean, for the book.
TB. Hey, so if you're just joining the live, we are discussing our December read, Black Girl in Paris by Shay Youngblood. And if you're not a member of the book club, what are we doing? Join the book club. Read with us. We're choosing our next read soon. You know.
Yes.
Chanel is being messy in the comments. Per usual. She says, "I agree. I took it as the author trying to tell the story as the character. She was an
Yes.
unreliable narrator making a map, period. Maps don't show at all. Fair. That's fair."
Yes.
okay.
Starving on Enough says it was pieced together like a dream. She's living her dream in Paris. Right. Not grounded in reality at all.
She said at all.
At all.
At all. That was Keyoka's shade. When she said, but who said the map? Who talked about the map? Which comment? Put that comment back up there, Q.
Let me see. Yeah. Chanel's comment. An unreliable narrator making a map. That is spot on.
Right, because she says she is making this, as we talked about earlier, she's making this is my roadmap. She's leaving this roadmap for other Black artists who are thinking about going to Paris, who are thinking about going to Paris and retracing the steps of Baldwin and Bricktop and Baker. This is her roadmap to that. She says a roadmap for other artists who dreamt of walking in their shoes. And she alludes to that on one of them pages when she gives her story. This is her story. This is her. She's providing this for other artists, for other writers.
Mm-hmm.
This is her contribution. This is her contribution to that legacy of Black artist experience in Paris. This is it. That's how she's written it.
That's how y'all be living?
I hope not.
That's how we dreamt it. This is why I love it so much. This book is for us. This is for Generation
Ooh.
X Black writers who
Downright.
grew up loving Another Country by Baldwin, who read it so many times it fell apart, who grew up reading The Best of Simple,
I
like
read that
this.
book.
Right. So
I have both those books.
this is for the writers who dreamt during the in the 80s. I was in middle school, early 90s, who dreamt of going to Paris, doing what she did. This is the book for us. She wrote this for us, not only for Black writers, but also for Black expats.
Right.
I do want to touch on something that Danielle brought up. So she is an unreliable narrator, right?
They all are.
Well,
I mean, all her characters in the book. All her characters in the book.
fair, right?
Yeah.
So we talked a little bit earlier about how we're all in different generations, aren't we? Yeah.
I was asking Bonita this. Yeah.
So
we asked does she consider herself
A boom. I'm a baby boomer. No lie.
okay? I'm a Gen X, right?
I'm just asking questions. I don't know.
What are you? Okay.
I'm a millennial.
Yes.
But so y'all got me off topic. I gotta find my question again. My point, so like when I read this book, Yvonne, it seems like you had a different, more accepting interpretation of it. For me, I almost felt like I was having a panic attack. Like some of these situations, just because being I don't know if I'm considered an older millennial, but being somebody who's not in their 20s anymore, there's certain things that I would never recommend at looking. Like if I look at my younger sister who's in her mid 20s, and if she told me I only got $100, I'm gonna go to another country by myself. We're gonna figure it out. I'm a writer. I would break one of her legs because I can't tell her nothing to stop her. So I'm gonna have to injure her, right? To tell her this is a bad. The entire book to me felt like a bad idea. And for anybody who's watching this, if you guys have seen any of the videos on my channel, I plan like borderline psychotic, like spreadsheets with day-to-day activities. I know visa information. I know things that I want to do. I would never ever do this or recommend that anybody do this. Do not show up to a country with no means of income as a woman. As
Who's
a
gonna tell?
woman,
Who's gonna tell a millennial in the comments? Somebody who's gonna tell this book? Okay, and I knew that would be your take, right?
I'm
But
having heart
when
palpitations.
this book was written, this book was published in 2000. It's based in the 80s. There were no there. Granted, she could have planned, right? But there were no sites to go to get a travel information. First of all, the internet in the 80s was not an internet. That was not a thing. We were just I went to school in 91. That was when the computer lab was still green print and dots. Like we were still using the Dewey Decimal System in the library to look up books when this story was based, right? So she could have had an atlas, some books, but if you did not know anyone who went to Paris, where was her research going to be? Her research is her going there and discovering. Now the money thing, she didn't have no money.
This
She didn't
whole
have no money. Her her we talk about in the black expat world, right? How people do not support us, who look at us crazy now in 2023, who look at us crazy when we say we want to live, we want to travel the world, we want to live. What did Aunt Victorine do? What did Aunt Victorine do when that girl told her she wanted to go to Paris? She pulled back her what? She pulled back the carpet and
Yep. Over
girl
the money.
gave that girl the money, right? We always talk about how our friends and family look at us crazy. They don't support us and blah, blah, blah. On Victorine, what page is it? She pulled back the carpet and gave that girl the money and then said she wished she can do it. She wished that she was brave enough to do it, but she gave that girl encouragement to do it. And Dr. Bernard advice was don't take only what life gives you, take what you want. So
Mhm.
that's what I mean by this is a black expat. This is for us. Not only is it for black artists, but it's for people who want to feel supported when they say this is who want encouragement instead of discouragement, right? When they want their family, even though her mother was grieving her father, she gave her a hug and wished her well. This is that time period. So they didn't have no money. She didn't have no money. There was not a site that she can go to look for jobs when she get there. You look for jobs just like you look for apartments when we were in school with a note on the board. She shows that. She depicts that. So
You know how many
yeah.
people get snatched up following notices on the
I mean,
board?
that's our fears now. That's our fears now.
In hindsight,
You had
Yeah.
there was the serial killer epidemic that happened in the 80s. That's
But
why.
you had to do it bravely then. But so living as a black expat now is not going to look like living as a black expat in the 80s
Right.
That's fair.
Right.
at all.
Yeah. Because I tried to put myself in the 80s and what type of attitude I had toward the world. And I know we used to hitchhike with no problem.
Say it,
But
no
but
problem.
but going to a whole nother country with $200, I I would not have done. Even though I might not have known anything about that country or had a green book to the country, I still would have known I needed more than $200 to get me started. And every person that she met, I was filled with anxiety in that book. And I tried to pull myself out of it because that's how I think now. But it's like she just went off with people, didn't know who they were. She was just hoping that she would have some place to sleep that night or eat. And she was just all willy wonky. I mean, she was truthfully just going through a map, finding her way through, which I looking at the 80s, okay, I can deal with it. But as reading it today, I was just like, Lord, when is it gonna happen? When is she gonna get raped? When is she gonna get knifed? When is somebody gonna kidnap her? And I'm so glad that none of that happened,
I
but
mean,
it was still on my mind. And why in the heck was she always so daggone cold? Where's the heat in Paris? I couldn't get away from that either. Where's the heat? Where's the heat?
she couldn't afford heat.
She couldn't
But
afford
why?
But so, I came to the book being someone raised primarily by Black women who has always been taught to protect myself, right? Like, that's always been the message. You are a woman in this world, you are a Black woman in this world. If you don't know who you are, people are going to tell you. That is always, I remember my grandmother telling me that over and over again. Know who you are, know what you have to say, or people are going to find words for you, right? So
Mhm.
I think what caused me a lot of anxiety in this book is because, and I mean, hearing Yvonne talk about it changes my perspective a little bit, but I did have trouble with Eden's agency because it did kind of feel like she was allowing other people to kind of lead her in different directions. Like, as opposed to, like, so there's this idea of map building and that she's the one putting this map together. But she's allowing other people to kind of steer her in different directions and really putting her in dangerous situations. So, like, no, she wasn't our word, but she did give up her body, and we don't know how consensual it was, right? It could just have been she's alone, this person has a warm bed, he's nice to her, so this is what he wants. Like, it never really until maybe Ving, it never felt like she
Mhm.
really wanted to sleep with anyone. It was always
Right.
kind of like a silent expectation that she met,
Right.
and I felt very uncomfortable with that because I know what it's like to be a quiet girl, and people will take advantage of you.
Mhm.
So I read it differently.
Mhm.
I read it as, so first she gives us the hints when she dedicates the book to the angels, the poets, the lovers, and the thieves. I think Youngblood was a gifted writer. If she wanted us to feel like she was not willing to do these things as a lover, I think she would have wrote
Mhm.
that. I think it would have been obvious and we wouldn't have to wonder about it. That's one. But then when she talks about um indigo, when she talks about it, she does say that I wonder if, but it's the when they end up in the bed, it seems like a natural. She writes it as a natural progression to get there, because she
Mhm.
she she talks about him furthermore as a guide, as you know, in an appreciative way, right? And not
Mhm.
appreciative. He gave her a place to stay, but like reality, the reality of this, the reality base, and she doesn't. It doesn't seem to me like she begrudged him during that
Mhm.
time. But also, like we talk about when Adelia talked about the what was lacking in the old book, like the real experience of an expat, the real expat experience, right? She gives us all this in the backstory, this romanticism of what it looks like, right? What she thought it would be going there, and leaving the bohemian life. It's not that. She don't have no money, right?
Right.
So she don't have no money. What does, and that's what writing is. You want to depict stories that are not like yours, that make you feel uncomfortable, right? That make you
Mhm.
think, okay, if I am this age at this time in this place with no money, how do I go
Mhm.
about, living? But aside from that, aside from the question about, you know, her putting herself in perilous situations, when you think, like, to me, it's like this is a book about her pilgrimage, right? This is a book about Eaton's slash Youngblood's pilgrimage in Paris. So when you think about pilgrimage stories, you think about Gulliver's Travel. You think about Oliver Twist. These stories you have to put them in perilous situations. This is her sojourn to find her voice, right? To discover herself and to discover her voice as a writer. You have to, you can't, what book do we want to read if this is a pilgrimage? You have to have some tough times. You have to have some dangerous, some adventure, some of this in this writing. So
But
that's my take.
she doesn't have that introspection though. Like we're like the reason why we're differing on even the interaction between her and Indigo is because we don't hear from her, right? We're picking up these subtle, like, oh well, I mean, because I read Indigo as he talks too much, he uses people, he takes, oh, like he's this sort of domineering, he doesn't really give her any room to voice her own opinions about things. But it's because we're seeing him and we're not really seeing her. We're not seeing how she feels about this. You know, like I don't think there was enough of her thinking through things for me or giving her opinion about things.
So I'm gonna let Bonita speak before so I can
Right.
shut up. Bonita.
Because most of the strangers that she met, I will say that they were all her associates. None of them were really her friends. The only one who had money was Delphine, and her parents grabbed her out real quick. And then when she did meet Indigo, I understood that she was looking at him as a guide because he was an elder and he's been around for a long time. But yeah, he was a user. He was always looking for his next breakfast, his next dinner, his next free ride someplace without including her. He was just giving her a way to go. And he was just going to leave her right there on the corner by herself. So I understood that, but 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 I want to say something. I can't remember now. But I just but no but I saw everybody else's experience, and I saw her experience it through them. Like, she didn't go off all by herself and just do something by herself without somebody else there telling her what to do, how to do this. She didn't say, okay, well, now I know how to get money to get a room or get food. So let me just go down this road by myself and find myself and try to run into Baldwin. And that's another thing that I did like in this book, that when they name drop Baldwin and Wright and Langston and Josephine Baker, that it wasn't like name dropping to enhance the writing. It was as though they were part of the background. It was just like regular talk between people.
She was
So
taking
that was more credible and more real to me, her adventure in her search for Baldwin. But we'll talk about the end when we get to the end, though. But 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 I really like that. But I just didn't see. I could not sense her growing in any way to make her be a writer, because I didn't know about her personal experience and anything that she did. I didn't see her grow. I just saw her survive.
mm.
I did see the growth. Oh, okay. I'm sad now. So
No,
sad.
well, wait, we can
Sad.
wait. Because I wanna talk about that. I'm gonna make a note to come back to it, right? Because I think that
Okay.
is a good way to talk about the ending a little bit. I'm gonna read some of you guys' comments. So let me see. Chanel says she agrees with you, Yvonne. Who reads a travel book cover to cover?
Well,
What
And
is
this is that. Yes. If I ever go to Paris, I'm taking this with me. This is a overt travel book. Yes.
Amina says, I remember her writing about how she wrote in the margins of a travel guide. That always stuck with me. So yes, it was like it was written like a travel guide. Do y'all write in the margins of your books? Because I was taught to do that when analyzing literature.
Yeah.
Alicia says, agreed, time equated to duration of the experience and situation. Fair. Y'all cutting up. Hey, Kelly. Hi, Kelly. I don't know if you're here. Okay, so I am a younger millennial. Yeah, I am a younger millennial. I think Kelly, I don't want to put her business out there, but she's a little bit older. Let's see. Amina says Gen X played outside a lot and our families didn't know where we were half the time. We had adventures.
True.
Listen, to that point, I was supposed to be in school. When I went to school in 91. It was a year and a half. This is before cell phones. This is when it was different world like energy. Like when your mama called you at the dorm, they call on the payphone in the hallway, right? So it was a whole year. She thought I was in Clark. I was in Boston. Like we was in the streets. I didn't have no money. Do you understand how much that is freedom? I didn't have no money. I was in the street. But it was this. I'm early 20s. Listen, Eden was me. Early 20s, you knew in the back of your mind the stuff was dangerous, but you think you're invincible. You doing this stuff because this is how you think you're going to find your voice. This is how you think you're going to find who you are. You are for real on a self journey. I wasn't calling my mama on a cell phone. She didn't know where I was. She thought I was in Atlanta. I was in Boston. Yes.
I don't know what to say. But I'm thinking about, because I read Stephen King. This is making me think, all of those stories set in the 80s, those kids, run up on
Yes.
you could run up on a
It's
demon.
hindsight. We know now it was dangerous, but all this is hindsight. We were kids.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, well, I was a child during the 60s. So that's when we were out there going through the woods like all day long with sugar sandwiches, didn't know which way we were going. And we never ran into strangers in the woods. We were in the woods all day long and we didn't know where we were going. And our parents didn't worry about us until we had to get home. But that's a whole different thing.
But no, you never ran into strangers in the woods. There's some real life crime stories. They weren't where you were. Hey, both of y'all.
Whole summer in the woods. And it was like now I wouldn't even walk to the woods. I wouldn't even walk to the woods now.
Even you saying woods, I'm like, what?
It was the woods. Yeah.
What?
With Chris up here. And Tarzans and snakes. But I would not go frozen. To Paris on
You froze a little bit, Bonita. You froze a little bit. But let's talk about what it says. She says,
okay.
We're both frozen? Can y'all see me?
You're not frozen. Me and Bonita are.
Can y'all see me? Can y'all hear me? Good? Everybody put a thumbs up in the comments if we're good.
Mm-hmm. You look good. Hear you.
Okay. Alicia says,
you're good.
The book, while it meant to be a roadmap, it was such a traumatic struggle experience, although the goal was to romanticize what it could be. Chanel,
I don't. Okay.
You don't agree with that?
They don't make sense together.
Not a drag.
Amina said we had praying grandmas. Yes.
Not we
don't
have
make sense together because we
listen,
had praying grandmas.
They say faith without work. Okay, get inside. Don't you don't need to test the Lord all the time. Y'all are funny.
Yes, we are
Not
praying
to
grounds.
specifically clear. Listen, this was a ploy to make myself look good. I'm just playing. I'm just playing. Y'all had some good stuff in here. Wait, let me. I'm scrolling up. Thriving on Enough says she straight out uses indigo to support her dream. Listen, I support using men for things, but
Exactly. Like y'all looking at it at one lens. She used him too. Like you got to use your wows. I see it on from both sides. I can see your side, Keyoka, but I can see grabbing on enough sides too.
I feel like
She
you
in there just like everybody else. She making it
Well,
work.
yeah, I would have used him too because he was one that seemed to know the most. But
mm,
I don't think she got a whole lot out of him the way her direction was going after he
No, but
went
y'all
off
have
with
to
his
okay,
woman.
listen, I read books for the layers, right? I read books, one for the love of language, right? For the details and for the layers, for like the extended metaphors, the hidden metaphors. Like, why did she name him Indigo Blacksmith? He knew all the African history of Paris. He knew
Mhm.
all the genocide. He knew all their thievery. She had to have some way to put that in there. When we talk about the real deal expat experience, no, it wasn't. Somebody said romanticized. Like you would think she's trying. This is rose colored glasses book, right?
mm,
It's a her romantic theory of what it was like to be in Paris, but she needed to put those atrocities in there. What character could she use to do that? It was Indigo, her angel, her lover, her angel. He knew he taught her. He informed because she didn't know nothing. She over there 20 didn't know nothing. She didn't know anything about we know, but she didn't know, and the readers may not know the atrocities, how they stole the stuff they put in the Louvre, how what the Algerian war. Like he knew that stuff. His role was to tell us that stuff and tell her that stuff as a young person who didn't know anything. So she
Mhm.
got that out of him.
Mhm.
He was a guide in that sense.
Mhm. And that I did like that because a lot of people, when they think of Paris, even when they think of the Baldwin and the Langston Hughes Paris, they think of it as some haven for the Black artists.
Yes.
mm,
But
Yes.
in this book, Indigo also showed them that Paris was not without its own racism and classism and
Yes.
history. And that I did like about the book.
So what do we
Yes.
think about the setting then in sense of the time? So there was a lot of social unrest going on in Paris. The time is like 1980 something. What
Mhm.
role does that play in the book? How do we think that affected Eden?
I actually wished the one thing I didn't, not to dislike it, but I wish that she would go more into that, how the anxiety that she felt, because she says it, but she doesn't show us Ian how that really affect Ian. I wish that she would have did more of that, but I'm glad she uses it throughout the book, as the
Mhm.
backstory. Like, it's this all not fun and games here. I'm broke.
Right,
I might get killed when I get on this train.
right.
Delphine might, she's using it as it's a real deal guide. It's not a romanticism, romantic guide. It's a real deal guide of not only the danger, right, of being broke in Paris as a Black person, but also like we are coming to the story. I grew up thinking, oh, it was free. Baldwin, right? All of them. Josephine Baker went there because it's free, right? Black people are free in Paris, so she believes that too. She goes there and
Mhm.
finds out, no, they're actually treating you just like they did in the gym in Jim Crow South, right?
Yeah.
She tries with the au pair. She tries to get the job. The
Mhm.
lady, Jews the lady does not give her what she offered the Swedish au pair because,
Right,
you know, you are what? You are Black. Like the
right,
treatment that she
right.
gets there when her and Ving are walking the street, right? Coming from the club
Mhm.
and being the young UK boys, the young Paris boys harass them for being a black and they call him gay, right? It's the same treatment she goes into herself because it's the same treatment she would have got walking with Ving in the deep south.
Mm.
So
Mhm.
that is shattered. Our notion, we think that it's supposed to be she thought of going over there for this, for their freedom, but you ain't that free because you are what? A black
Mhm.
person, African person in
Mhm.
Paris.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Chanel has a point here. She says, "While I do believe the author wanted us do I, while I do not believe the author wanted us rioting in the streets over this, I do believe she knew we will be clutching our pearls over this stuff." And then it says the author mentions age, police corruption, men being trash, etc., because those things exist in both times, the 2000s and the 1980s.
Right.
Yep. Yep.
She says it is not the travel guide's writer's job to feel or editorize. I found that cold as the reader, but I think it was intentional.
Yes, I agree, Chanel.
Hmm.
Yeah. Alicia says definitely saw her associations being convenient for them and the need for her. There
Mm.
wasn't enough self reliance and positive initiative for me. I agree with that.
Right. I agree too.
I agree with
Yeah. Yeah. Because that's what I meant when I said that I really couldn't see any growth in her as a black woman or as a writer when I was reading the book because I
As a
just
writer,
didn't know.
definitely.
I didn't know how she felt about anything. I mean, it just felt like it was just glossed over. It's like
that.
I can't feel her.
Dee says, I feel like you all read different books. Well, isn't that the making of a good
The view, this is the view. This is the view, the view on this book. Yes, that's the point. That's the point. Very good observation, D. That's the point.
Mhm.
I guess this is talking Indigo. Eden got left cold and hungry when Indigo found a lady to travel with.
Yes, he did.
Because that's what a gigolo does. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
The lick.
Listen, this book is
We
based
hit a
in
lick.
reality. Y'all cannot tell me you have not gone to Jamaica or wherever
I don't
and
know.
a gigolo tried to get. And it's no different. Indigo is no different from what we pay thousands of dollars for official guides. He's a guide.
It's
This
true.
is no different than the gigolos who to come to you to the beach. They want to show you around, but they want a meal. It's reality. This is a reality based expat guidebook. That is reality.
I've always said no, though. I always say, get up out my face.
Come on, show me around. I'll take you, make
Mhm.
you a lunch. I always do.
Listen,
You ain't got no money. Come on,
I,
I'll buy you a little lunch. Take me here, take me there. That's when you find the good parties. Listen. I be in the streets when I be traveling. You understand? I'm telling you,
I know
in
the
the
reason
streets.
why we read this book so differently is because we are different people. because because we just having different experiences.
I be in the streets. That's they showing you the real deal of the. He was showing her the real deal Paris and giving her a history lesson. Here you go. I wouldn't have gave him no ass, but I mean, I wouldn't. But I'll pay for your little meal.
Okay, I do have a question though. Again, I'm trying to find her growth as a writer. Now, was the author attempting to
Parallel.
not paralyze, parallel, Lord have mercy, struggling with becoming a writer or finding your voice?
Uh,
And
I think so. I think that was the basis of the book. She went to Paris like a struggling young artist, not even black artist, a struggling young writer supposed to. So that's I do agree with you there, Bonita. I didn't see her growth as a writer. right? While we're reading the book, we see like snippets of like poetry, what could be poetry, snippets of her inner thoughts. But I would really had loved to see, would like to see her growth as a writer. So I do agree with you that like I see her growth as a person as she's meeting these people, but not as a writer. Like at the end when she started writing, I'm like, okay.
Girl, it took
But
the whole
I
book
didn't
for
see
her to
that.
write.
I didn't see that progression.
I mean, but isn't it like that, right? Like life takes you away from your work, especially when
And
you're
that
making
part,
money, because it's like you have to prioritize the things that make you money. So her being a nanny, her being a poet's assistant, cleaning up after people, being cold, like life in
and
Paris.
that's the reality. That's why I love this because the reality is, yes, you went over there to write, but you ain't got no money. So all the things that you need to do to find money took away from your writing time.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah. It
Yeah.
that
wasn't
is real.
until it wasn't until
But
she got out of
funny.
the city that she could actually focus on writing.
Oh, okay. So when Vin came back from visiting his mother and found her looking pitiful as usual, all cold and he said that he was going to send her to the south of France. And so I'm thinking the south of France. I've seen it, and I think all he paid for was her transportation in the room because she was still cold and didn't have no food. So how was that supposed to do anything for her? She still had no money, and I
She's
just
her struggles, her struggle. You wanted to see it though. Her struggles all this time had she had learned so much through her struggles. It built up her voice. But you wanted to see. I get it. You wanted to see how you wanted to connect the dots. You wanted the dots to be connected to how
yeah.
all these things. Yeah, I get it. I get it.
And I'm
Well,
like, dude, send you someplace nice, but you're still struggling. You're still cold. You're still starving.
and
So
you
what?
still end up getting wrapped up with a greasy old man who wants to take advantage of you. I think the climax of it fell flat for me, right? Because she gets into it with this guy, Jake. And I've been thinking about what is the purpose of this because he's apparently a friend of Baldwin's. She ends up doing the nude modeling thing with him. Even his daughter tells her like, girl, this is a slimy old man. He gonna take advantage of you.
You want her by this time to have some sense.
Yeah, because you've been in this situation before in Paris. So it's like,
Yeah.
why are you putting yourself back into the situation again? And then finding out that, oh, Baldwin isn't even here. He went up to Paris for the weekend or something like that, or he's gonna be there for a month. It was something like that. Oh, Baldwin left yesterday. Then she's like, oh, I guess I should write. I was like, wait a second, girl, what happened? What happened? You had his address. She had Baldwin's
Yeah.
address from the time she was working with that old poet lady. She gave it to her. You could have been more
She said she wanted
proactive.
to be introduced. She did. She mentioned that she had the address, but she wanted to be introduced by somebody. She didn't want to just
Because
stalk
she
him
has
out.
no agency. Because she had no agency. She had no get up and go. She had no. She was
Point.
not the character who is going to make her dreams come true. It's almost like she
Point.
had to be forced into it by the entire world. Everybody she came in contact with had to shut their door,
Mhm,
be slimy, turn on her for her to be like, "Let me sit down and
mhm,
myself."
mhm,
Point.
mhm.
Point. I think Youngblood thought that was what we were. It was carrying her through the book. Like that journey was carrying her to the book. If she had done it, it would have stopped the book. You know what I mean?
Mm.
That was the glue holding us to the end of the story. I think that's the thought process, but it could have been handled
Oh,
differently.
I feel that if she had his address, if she would have went there herself, she could have met people along the way to still build a story. But instead, she kept looking for other people to do it for her. Like
That's the
like
here.
in, in
That's like think of Gulliver's Travel. That's the pilgrimage. That's the hero's journey. I think that's how it was designed to be. Like like she said in the dedication for the heroes, the lovers. she's thinking of it as a pilgrimage to get there. So she has to meet these people along the way to do that. I think that's how the plot was laid out. But still, point made. Point made.
Well, then in the end, she didn't. If the premise of the book is she's searching for Baldwin, she never actually got to him, except in passing.
And then was that real or was that imagined? I kind of thought it was like
Yeah,
imagined.
she probably was having some sort of flashback in one of them cold rooms.
I be able to put a
I
jacket.
didn't think it was real. As I read it, I'm like, it could have been real, but I didn't. The way I read it, I think it was like imagined.
That's fair.
Yeah,
I
because
didn't like that.
But
yeah, because
layers.
when it came, it came too wrapped up in the bow tie. I didn't like it at all. And it's
And
like
then
that ain't
after, just like you said, after he, had left, I think that's what she created that in her mind. I think she created it in her mind to like to assuage her, to wrap
her
up, give it a
vision.
bow, her dream, but I don't think it happened.
Yeah, because in the end it was like when she read that little thing on the napkin, supposedly if she was really there,
Exactly.
it
Exactly.
was just
Right.
like it reminded me of like Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz when they said you had it all along in them red shoes, but you never used it.
Exactly,
And so
Bonita.
that's what it seemed to me, and that's why the whole book just fell apart right there to me. It was like I know I did not read this book for this.
Right, because Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz was the best
But
story.
I never thought she was going to meet him. I never thought she was going to meet Baldwin. That was I read books for the story, for how the story unfolds. I never thought she was that. That was not. I didn't care if she met him or not. That was not the glue to hold me together. I want to see how the story unfolds, the layers. That's what
And
I. That's what
truthfully, if she would not in the book, if she would not have met him, I would have been happy. But
Yeah, I would
if
have been
she
more
would have
happy had
been a
she not. Yep.
witness, yeah, she could have been a witness as she saw a new person coming off the plane, all wide eyed and googie eyes, and she could have said, "Here's a list of things to do in Paris." Like just he gave back to somebody else. But that ending was just was ridiculous to me. It just didn't make any sense.
It did. You know,
I could have did without. She could have made it. I could have did without the little. Yeah, the little
it could
the
have ended with her writing.
Yeah.
It really could have just ended with her writing, because then it would have
Yeah.
been a story about her finding space.
Herself, her voice. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
I still got that. I still got it without it, but I could have, it was an added something that I didn't need.
Yeah.
Chanel says, I don't think Eden is a good writer or even someone with her own voice at the end. She found a path to herself at the end. She's ready to start. So you think this was almost like a prequel to Eden as a writer? Like book 2, she's going to be published author, or she's going to have found her voice.
Well, I agree that the stuff that I was reading through the book that she was writing was like, what the heck is this stuff she writing? And like perhaps when she gets back home, maybe she develops into a better writer. I'm not really sure.
I disagree. Of course, I disagree.
Well, you like the book.
Listen. Go ahead, go ahead. Read the comments.
I was going to say, this is from Sustainable Stuff. She says her experiences will give her something to write about. This is true.
Okay.
Chanel says she's not even counting Witness as the end. She doesn't even count that. Doesn't even count it. That's when she meets, not meets him, but sees him. I guess very to him. Alicia says, to clarify, she wasn't romanticizing it as she went. It was part of her pre-travel vision. The reality was much different.
Yeah. We agree. We agree, Miss Hawkins. That's what I was saying. It's we think that we're coming to the book and it's going to be this romanticized version of Paris, but it's actually different.
Mhm,
Yeah, we agree.
mhm,
Hmm.
mhm,
And that I think that is the point. That is part of the point of it being a guide. This is the real deal, no holds barred guide that she is her contribution is a guide
mhm.
that we may be
Uh,
uncomfortable with. It's her truth. It's Eden's truth. Agreed.
okay, well,
Was always
at the end, Eden says, I had discovered something that no one could take away from me. I have found a path on my interior map and learned to follow it. There was power in the pen. I knew this for certain. Didn't need Jimmy to tell me that. It was there all the time, just waiting for me. Okay, she wrote that, but I didn't see it.
You didn't see it. I get it. I agree. You're right. No, you can't. We agree,
that's
Bonnie.
selective.
We agree. I get it. Not this is wait. Thriving on enough says a dream deferred, Langston Hughes, but she kept dreaming and seeking even when the reality checks. Yes, thriving on enough. Yes.
She did. She
Yes.
did.
Listen, this is the most important lesson I learned as a writer. And Chanel says it. It does not matter if she has talent. The point is that she is. So it does not matter if you are considered a quote unquote good writer. It matters that you write. You are a writer because you say you are. So, child, I get
And
it.
it's like, what is the lady's name in the God damn it. In the book that you scared to read, Bonita. What is the book? The movie that you scared to watch and read?
What you talking about? Telling
Which
uh,
one?
telling
Oh, the Lovecraft movie?
Lovecraft.
Oh,
What
yeah.
was Hermine? What was it's like her journey when she
Ooh.
goes like when you says that the point is that she is what was the what was her name, y'all? When she
journey.
goes on the journey and she's Josephine Baker and then she's what was the character name?
I
It
don't
it was
know
like
the
that
character's
to
name,
me.
but yeah.
As I was reading it, and Bonita, since you did not read the book or watch the movie because you're scary, um, her journey when Chanel says the point is that she is, that's the exact point that what is that lady's name in the book in the movie? That's what she was trying to make. Like I am here, all
It
of these
started with an
experiences.
H.
Say it
Did it
again.
start with it start with an H, didn't it?
Yes, yes, yes. But
Yeah, I can't remember.
Chanel
the
also
point is lost. I can't remember the lady's name.
Eden always hesitates and has explanations when she calls herself a writer throughout the book. By the end, I think she sees herself as a writer. This is in tandem with her other comment.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, probably. I mean,
But Youngbloods, we are not Youngbloods writing is superb. It says
Hmm.
her
It is.
descriptions, her when she met Ving and she says, he sent what did she say? What did she say? Her descriptions are we are not questioning her
oh,
writing talent. Eden's writing talent is what's
I
in
think
question.
she's a phenomenal
Yeah.
poet. I think she's a phenomenal poet.
Yeah, because I enjoyed Youngblood's writing style. I did.
Yeah.
I don't know that she is a novelist.
Mhm. I haven't read anything else about her though.
I think she.
I disagree, but I disagree. She's a playwright. Okay, I give it. She's a playwright, but this as I don't know. I love it. I love it. I'm not gonna put any bad energy on this book. I am not.
I ain't saying nothing. I'm not saying nothing.
Mhm.
Mhm. Go ahead, Benita. What was you saying?
Oh, that's all. I just said that I did enjoy her writing style.
I'm gonna get to it. I got to read it. I got to read it.
So
Now, my question is, who paid for her ticket home?
This is that the point?
was it
Did we even see her ticket home? Did she go,
No, I
honey?
mean,
Not
I
as a.
mean,
You know what?
I
I
don't know. I thought he was.
If this was a TV show, if this was a play, I probably would enjoy it. As a
Oh,
novel, I don't enjoy it as a novel. And maybe and you know, maybe I need to think through some of my anti-blackness. Maybe I need to think through some of my like cuz I've been formally trained in a white institution, like maybe that's where some of this is coming from. But I did not like it as a novel. I did not feel like it was a complete story. I didn't
Mm.
agree with the chapters as vignettes. I feel like it should have been formatted as something else. It could have been a collection of short stories. Um, could have been, like Yvonne said, a chapbook. I didn't like it as a novel. And I'm also someone who
I
likes
like it because
literature.
it's not it wasn't. I love it. Not even like it. I love it because it goes against the grain of what a novel should be. I like it.
That's fair.
I like that it's set up like a travel novel where you have snippets of pictures and coins and tickets of Paris. I like that this like part of the setting, like when they go to what is it? The couple for dinner, right? That part, it's the layers, the part of the it reads like poetry. The menu reads like poetry. But in this menu, she's still setting up the setting. She's still grounding us, and we are in Paris. The menu is based on Paris sites. Then she goes into how they can't afford. It's the layers. It's what I love about this book.
Mhm.
It's not just what's on the written word, what's on the page. It's the why did she name why was secrets repeated in this book? I stopped counting more than 30 times. What is the meaning behind what secret is she trying to tell us? Again, why did she name him Indigo Blacksmith? Blacksmith has is a literary metaphor. Research it yourself. Like, why is that his name? These are the things that you may not read on the first. I read to uncover what I did not pick up on the first read. This book, I know I can read it again and say, oh, that's why she did that. And oh, that's what she did that. That's why, that's what I read for. So if you're like me and you like to read extended metaphors and you like to think about why did she make this decision to do this and name this person and why is secrets mentioned 30 something times in this book, you don't like the book. It's the layers.
Yeah, and to speak, Amina asked would it be better as a play, and the way it was written, as we've all said, in like vignette sort of ways, that it probably would be very successful as a play.
Very much so.
Hmm.
Agreed.
Like Chanel says, I like the bait and switch. I started the book thinking she was showing us around Paris. We end the book with her saying she showed herself to herself. Can judge her mistakes, but what can I learn?
That's fair.
I like the bait and switch.
Amina says there are so many layers in this book. I agree with Yvonne. Okay. Should have been. Oh Lord, I can't write. We've been on the live too long. I can't read. Since he was not
He should have
hell,
been
it
vain
has to
since he
be
was not paying for
since he
eating food.
was
I was just saying, should have been vain since he was not paying for heat or food.
Hmm.
so Keyoka is gonna direct the play. Um, often not. But that's the thing, right? It's because like I think that people have certain talents, and sometimes it's great to venture out into new fields just to play with different mediums, right? To see if you can do it to stretch your pen. Other times, maybe not. Maybe it falls flat. But I don't know. Mina says with good books, when you reread them, you always uncover something you missed the first time. That's true.
And we read it so fast. Like we read this pretty
We read
fast.
it really fast. We read it
Yeah,
really
it was a fast read.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any remarks, any notes, anything that you wanted to mention that we haven't covered?
Not really. Read the book, I think. My suggestion is yes. If you are a Black writer who grew up again on another country and the best of Langston Hughes, Jesse B. Simple,
Which, by
I
the way,
think
is
you'll
a collection of short stories.
yes. I think you'll love it. And if you are a lover of language, you're gonna love this book.
Okay, let's do that then. I say no. Because
Yes, he is.
I say no. I don't like
Generation Boomer. Look, I'm the only one. I'm the Generation X who was in these streets in the 80s and early 90s. Freedom.
Not freedom.
With no judgment. We listen and we don't judge. If we listen and we don't judge, this is the book for you.
But also, if you listen enough, Yvonne gonna tell all her business, and I love to hear the tea. So if you heard nothing from this discussion, you've heard. Okay, we've learned everything.
Wow.
Into. Okay.
I don't know if I want to go on a trip with you. I don't know.
I definitely want to go, but I want separate rooms.
Really? And I will make my own itinerary, alternative one, just in case.
Exactly.
I have evolved. I'm 50 years old. I don't live my same life as I did in my 20s.
I don't believe it.
Know.
I believe it.
I don't know.
I don't believe it.
I think if adventure's out there waiting, I think you'll be like, see ya, I'm going.
Oh, what's the next book?
This was a great time. I think one of these days we should do a battered book show and tell. That warmed my heart to see. Aw, we love it. Yes. Okay, yeah. So what's the next book? And make sure you tell Rashida. But will she read it even if we tell her?
Oh, right. Will she show up? Will she show up?
What do y'all think? Should we vote on that book or should we just assign a book? Because
anybody have any suggestions? Drop them in the comments, maybe, for the next book. And I will say, this was my pick, and I proudly say this was my nomination. I nominated this book. I am not ashamed. I am proud to say.
I don't have nothing to say.
Oh, Chanel said Rashida don't read Keyoka. She said Keyoka.
Don't put that out there. Don't put that out there. Don't put that out there.
No suggestions for the next book? Let us know in the group.
That's what I was saying. Should we vote or should we just pick one?
No, because then it will be we're not picking one. Just at least nominate a few. But I wanted to come from the members. You want to just read what Bonita, what was the book that you suggested for this time?
Heck, I know. That was last month. I can't remember.
That was last month. Baby, I don't remember either. You right. I'm sorry.
Old. I'd have to go back through my post.
Thank you, Amina. Yes, please read it.
Yes. All right, y'all. Well, no suggestions. Have we? No. So honestly, this book was a struggle for me, but so glad I read it. It was a good pick.
Mm-hmm. It was.
Said, love the conversation because we had various perspectives and layers of thought from structure to character profile and symbolism. Are we reading Another Country by James Baldwin? I already have it.
No, baby, that's a lot.
No, you're right, because it's one of those books that even though it's a short read, you have to dissect that. Like,
yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. It's in my top 5, but it's one of my favorites. But that's a lot to have an hour conversation on.
Darviana said the voting process works for me. All right, y'all. Well, we're going to wrap it up. I'm going to put a poll on my channel and I'll put it in the Facebook group once we decide what our picks for next month will be. I feel I'm kind of leaning towards maybe we need a little bit more time. I don't know. Because this was like a really quick turnaround. And then, like, with the holidays, too.
It was only 3 weeks though. We didn't even give them a month. It was 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So it was hard. It felt like a homework assignment. I don't want it to feel like a homework assignment.
Yeah. And so yeah, I'll put the poll in as a post on my channel and in the Facebook group. Voting will close end of day on Friday, and I'll probably make an announcement on Saturday. So like, vote. Don't have me come run up behind y'all. Anyways, this was great. Everybody, thank you so much for
joining. Thank you, Bonita, for joining us.
Hey, being courageous.
You did a great job.
You did a wonderful job. And you can too. If you are watching this video and you want to join in the discussion, just hit one of us up and say, hey, I want to be on the live. We love it. Bring your thoughts, bring your
Especially if you have strong opinions. Bonita said she don't know why this lady was cold. She don't know why all through this book. This lady couldn't find no heat. It's her issue.
She was cold. And part of that was because she was naked for a lot of the book. She was naked.
She didn't have no money.
She didn't have no money.
Why was she struggling so bad? Yes. But like Bonita, you can too voice your strong opinions about the next read.
Yes. I want to remind everybody to like the video. If you're not subscribed to the channel, I think everybody is subscribed to the channel. But subscribe to the channel. Click the notification button so you stay up to date with the latest and the greatest for the channel, for the book club. And we're going to see y'all next time. Thank you so much for joining us. Peace out.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you. Bye.